morning everyone. This is Parveen. Today we are on the second session of class 9th Geography, Chapter 2, Physical Features of India. In our last session, we have seen the introduction part of this particular chapter, in which we have seen that there are 6 major physical features of India, which we are going to learn in this particular chapter. Okay, those 6 major physical division of physical features of India are, we have seen that there are northern Himalayan mountains. Then we are from north to south. When we divide India into a different physical features, we can say that in the northern part we have northern Himalayan mountains and northern Indian plains. Then when we come towards to southern side, we have central highlands, which is also called as plateaus or Deccan plateaus. Then we have great Indian deserts. Then from southernmost part, like southern eastern part and southern western part, we have coastal regions because of Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, which is called as coastal regions in India, that is eastern coast or western coast, which is also known as eastern Ghats or western Ghats. And lastly, we also have island groups in India like Andaman Nicobar Islands and Lakshadweep Island. In this particular chapter, we are going to learn all these physical features in detail. Now in today's session, we are going to have a first physical feature of India in detail, that is the northern Himalayan mountains. Now when we talk about northern Himalayan mountains or northern Indian mountains, they are also called as northern Himalayan mountains because it lies in the that particular part of the northern Indian mountains lies in the Himalaya. That is why it is also called as northern Himalayan mountains. Now in our last session, I have told you that northern Himalayan mountains or northern Indian mountains lies in the most northern part of India, and it has a different parts. And we have seen that it is the loftiest, highest mountain ranges in India or in Asia, you can say, which has has a distance of 2,400 kilometer, and its width is 400 kilometer from Kashmir to 150 kilometer to Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, we have seen that. Now in this particular session, we will see that when we talk about northern Himalayan mountains has 2 classification, or you can say that it can be divided in 2 ways. From north to south there is one division, and from east to west there is one division. Now in today's session, we are going to see the north to south division of northern Himalayan mountains. Now north to south division means as height decreases, okay, from highest height to lowest height, northern Himalayan mountains, the height decreases from north to south, which divides Himalayan mountains from north to south into 4 parts. That is Greater Himalayas and Himadri, which is the highest peak. Then we have Lesser Himalayas or Himachal Pradesh, or Himachal, you can say Himachal, or Himachal Himalayas also you can say, which is the lowest from the Greater Himalayas. Then we have a Shivalik ranges or a Shivalik mountains, you can say. And lastly, the very lowest peak or the very lowest height of Himalayas, which is called as Purvanchal Himalayas. Okay, so we are going to learn all these 4 parts in detail, which is north to south division of northern Himalayan mountains. So we will start with the first one, that is Greater Himalayas, which is also called as Himadri. Himadri means snow mountains, because it was the highest peak of Himalaya. It was always covered with snow, and there was always snowfall in that particular area because of the highest peak. So over here, when we talk about Greater Himalayas and Himadri, it lies in the northernmost range of Himalayas, at the very topmost part of Himalaya, and it has a most continuous ranges, most continuous mountains in Himalaya. There is no breakdowns. That is why it does not create any kinds of valleys and dunes. Okay, because it has a continuous ranges. There is no breakdown. There is a continuous mountain. And the loftiest peak means it was the highest peak in Asia or in India, you can say, which is about 6,000 meter. The average height is 6,000 meter, which may increase when there is a high snowfall or when there is an increase in snowfall. So it will increase above 6,000 also. But when we talk about the average height, it has a 6,000 meter average height. And as we are saying that it was the most continuous ranges, that is why we can say that it has an asymmetrical figure in nature. The figure is asymmetrical in nature. That means it creates one kind of a geometrical design mountains because of the continuous ranges, because it does not have any breakdowns. Okay. So it makes a asymmetrical design by nature. And when we talk about these mountains, they are made up of with granite and snowbounds. Okay, it is made up of with granite rocks and snowbounds. Snowbounds means it is mostly covered with snow. So it is also called as snowbound. And as we say that there was always a snowfall and it is always covered with the snow, it also has many glaciers and ice sheets because it is the highest peak of Himalayan mountains. Now when we come down from Greater Himalayas, next peak or the next average or the next highest peak of Himalaya is called as Lesser Himalayas. And it is also called as Himachal because Lesser Himalayas usually, or the most part of the Lesser Himalayas lies in the Himachal Pradesh. That is why it is also called as Himachal Himalayas or Lesser Himalayas. Now it covers the south, it starts from the south to Himadri. You can see that from north, the topmost part, from then when we come down to the south, from north to south, because the height comes down from north to south. So from Himadri, when it comes down to south, it creates Himachal or Lesser Himalayas, or it is called as Lesser Himalayas, and it is made up of with highly compressed and altered rocks. Okay, it is made up of with highly compressed and altered rocks means these rocks are altered, these rocks are breakdowns are those there in those rocks. They are very hard rocks. They are the compressed, highly compressed and altered rocks which are there. Okay, and the average altitude or the average height of Lesser Himalaya is 3,700 meters to 4,500 meters. You can say that the height may varies from 4,500 meter to 3,700 meters, which is less than Greater Himalayas. That is why it is called as Lesser Himalayas, and it is in the southern part of the Himadri. That means it is in the lowest part of the Himadri or Greater Himalayas. Its width is 50 kilometer. Okay, as it comes down, as Himalayan mountains come down, the width also decreases. So its width is 50 kilometer wide. It is 50 kilometer wide, and it has many different kinds of tourist places, like you can say Pir Panjal is the longest range, and Dholadhar and Mahabharat are the very important and prominent ranges in Lesser Himalayas, and it has many valleys. The famous valley of Kashmir and Kangra and Kullu Manali Valley, which are the most tourist attractive places, lies in the Lesser Himalayas. Now moving down, the next part or the next lowest part, you can say Greater Himalayas are the highest peak. After that we have Lesser Himalayas, which is less than Greater Himalayas. Then Shivalik ranges, for which the height is lesser than Lesser Himalayas. So it is called as Shivalik ranges or Shivalik Himalayas or outer Himalayas because it lies in the outer part of the Himalayan mountains. Their height is very much low. Okay, so it lies in the outermost part of Himalayan ranges, and it is made up of with consolidated sediments which is brought by the flowing rivers in Himalayas. Like we have seen that Indus and Brahmaputra rivers are there, which flows from Himalaya, and these two rivers many times it takes many sediments with them, and they leave those sediments in those areas, which creates a outermost part of Himalaya, which is called as Shivalik ranges or Shivalik mountains, which is made up of with unconsolidated sediments brought by flowing rivers, and its average height is 900 to 1100 meter, which is very lowest. Okay, you can say that they are the small hills, you can say, not a mountain but a small mountain, or you can say hills are there, and it is the most breakdown mountains. It does, in Shivalik ranges we don't have a continuous mountains. Mountains have many breakdowns. That is why it creates many valleys over here, and it width is 10 to 50 kilometer. Okay, and it creates many valleys like Dehradun, Kotli Dun and Patli Dun are the famous valleys in the Shivalik ranges. Now the last and the very lowest part of Himalaya, which is downward, or which is in the very southmost part of the Himalaya, you can say, because over here we are talking about north to south division. So the southernmost part of Himalaya is called as Purvanchal or Purvanchal Himalayas. It is in the eastern part of Himalayas. Okay, it is in the northern eastern part of Himalayas, you can say, and it bends to eastern boundary of India. It bends towards the eastern boundary of India, and it is made up of with sedimentary rocks and sandstones. and it has many hills. It has many small hills. It is not a mountain. Okay, it does not create any mountain. It creates many small hills. So over here you can say that when Himalayan mountains, when they end up towards the Purvanchal from the eastern part of India, which creates many small hills, which is called as Purvanchal. And it has many famous hills like Naga hills and Manipura hills, and it has dense forest and many different kinds of rivers. So today we have seen north to south division of northern Himalayan mountains. I hope you have understood what I have taught you today. In the next session we will see northern Himalayan mountains division from east to west. That is 3 parts: eastern Himalayas, central Himalayas and western Himalayas, which we are going to see in our next session in detail. So I hope you have understood whatever I have taught you. So from next session we will see eastern to western part of Himalayas, or eastern to western division of Himalayas. Till then, thank you.